I have built. But the fact is, a lot of us started from scratch, and
True.
that is something to be proud of, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The shift in my mind, like from growing up with my mother, I mean, seeing her work very, very hard every day, was that I used to see her physically go to work and work hours like 14 and 16 hour days and in order to make money. And then I realized that, to be very honest, you don't necessarily have to go to somewhere to be making money. You can make money passively.
True.
Like, that was a shift in my mind. Because in my head, in my mind, hard work equals success.
True.
And that's not necessarily the case. Sometimes you don't have to work.
Smart.
You have to work smart with it. Like, if you're not making money while you're sleeping, then really and truly, are you really making money? Sometimes you really have to ask yourself that. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Faded Conversations. Today we're going to talk about money. Money in its truest form. How we learned about money from our parents, what we wish we learned earlier, what we're going to teach our kids about money, and how we can actually make money by having no money. Like, what kind of investments you can do, what kind of savings you can put in place, what is really going to be the difference between the life you want to live now and what you want to do later. Let's talk about money. Mears, we like to talk a lot about legacy and building generational wealth and all of those things. So we're progressive-minded people, we're hard-working people. But, I mean, we didn't learn about money by ourselves.
Facts.
Exactly, we had to find it out from somebody else. A lot of people learn from their parents. And personally, I grew with my mother, I learned from my mother. I know you're
Yeah.
If you, like, what did you think that she taught you about financing and learning to finance, considering that you own a whole financial institution?
Well, the truth is, typically, and this is not Jamaica or just, us specifically, but generally, parents, are very traditional when it comes to financing, when it comes to, what a child should do when they grow up, career paths, most parents, unless they're already a business owner or an entrepreneur, they don't really set to their kids, hey, focus on starting a business, or this is how you manage finances, because what happens is that, like for me or you, our parents typically would want us to become like a bank manager, a lawyer, a doctor, get a 9 to 5, get a stable job, get a stable income, you get a good job, you get a managerial position, you get a mortgage, you get a car loan. Right? I mean, there's not much finances to plan there, because at the end of the day, when you don't pay your expenses, there's not much for planning for you to do thereafter. So
it's already like it comes in a box pretty much, and it's like, okay, so follow that instruction, just take that.
Yeah.
So I mean, that life is not that linear.
No. I mean, for me, how I broke out of that is, and I mean, it's not easy to break into a space where you can start thinking about wealth and stuff like that. That comes through reading. For me, like I read a book when I was younger, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that book really impacted my life in terms of the concept was having a rich dad, having a poor dad. How a rich dad would give you advice versus how a poor dad would give you advice. And the fact is that through reading, I was able to break that barrier and kind of learn more in terms of how do you create wealth for yourself. That's one way, as well as learning from others. Yeah. So I mean, for me, I never really had any mentors like that growing up. But in this day and age, you don't need to meet Bill Gates for him to mentor you. You can watch his videos and learn from him just the same way. So for me, that's how really I got a blueprint to really understand, how are these guys, in the 1% and everybody else is left in the 99%, You get their blueprint and you basically just follow through with exactly what they are doing. Doesn't mean that you're going to end up on Forbes list, but you'll be on your way to creating some generational wealth for your family and your kids.
True. And I know that's genuinely what we would all want, simply because, I mean, some people have the mindset that, all the work I put in is my work, and then everybody else have to come out and work for it themselves. But personally, I would want to build now and then have my family come and build on what I have built, or my kids come and build on what I have built. But the fact is, a lot of us started from scratch, and that is something to be proud of, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The shift in my mind, like from growing up with my mother, I mean, seeing her work very, very hard every day, was that I used to see her physically go to work and work hours like 14 and 16 hour days and in order to make money. And then I realized that, to be very honest, you don't necessarily have to go to somewhere to be making money. You can make money passively. Like that was a shift in my mind. Because in my mind, hard work equals success. And that's not necessarily the case. Sometimes you don't have to work. Smart. You have to work smart with it. Like if you're not making money while you're sleeping, then really and truly, are you really making money? Sometimes you really have to ask yourself that. And that mindset wasn't something that was taught to me by my mother. I literally had to just, or my friends around me at the time or anything. I literally just had to think about how those guys made money. And see other people make money possibly and say, all right, if I'm giving X amount of my time over here, how much money is that going to give me versus me giving X amount of my time over here? Because we all have the same 24 hours, you know. And there must be a reason why Elon Musk and all those people that have the same 24 hours as us.
The fact is, the truth is, we grew up seeing people work hard. And, you know, you see persons in a nuclear family, you know. We grew up with single parents. You see people in nuclear families, the same thing. The mom might be a doctor, or the dad is a doctor, the mom is a teacher, and the fact is that even then they cannot create any legacy for the next generation. The most that they might be able to do is pay off the mortgage so that when it's your time you don't have a mortgage to pay. You know, but growing up, I've never heard my parents say anything about a trust fund. When I start reading, I hear about, you know, trust fund, or, you know, you start being around other people and they're talking about, you know, their family or their great grandparents had created something in the past that generations can live off. For example, like a trust fund. So I mean, for us to create that type of legacy, we really have to break the barrier. And people always ask, how do you escape from out of something that you're traditionally brought up in? And I mean, if you listen to most of the successful people, they take chances, they take risk to break from that, you know, that normalcy that they're used to. In most cases, like you look at leeching. Leeching basically took a loan, right, to buy a financial institution. You know, that could have bust and not work out, but at the end of the day, it worked out for him.
Many times over.
Many times over. So, I mean, in order to break out of it, given that you weren't born with access to capital to start a business, you have to read, you have to understand, you have to educate yourself, you have to learn from others, and you have to take risks. You know, and at the end of the day, we learn principles from our parents that we can apply, but it doesn't mean that we have to follow the same path that they were on, you know?
Well, unfortunately for me, probably fortunately, so I have never gotten a chance to live with either mom or dad. However, going from auntie to grandma, sister, you know, the traditional thing, we didn't know about banking and all of that. So our thing was partner draw and all of that. So, you know, growing up seeing my grandma, she would be the one responsible for the partner draw and stuff like that. So, you know, I always had that in me. So that is how I was brought up. I used to throw partner, save and all of that. And also I learned responsibility from an early age because of the fact that, you know, I didn't really have a mom or dad. So independence is what I learned from then. I remember going to high school because the high school is close to where I lived. I used to get $300 for the entire week. So my grandma would give it to me on the Monday, and then I had to know how I'm going to budget myself with that $300. So I learned from that age to save and be responsible for that $300, because if I finish it by Wednesday, I'm not going to get any for the Thursday, right, or the Friday. So I think, you know, even though mom and dad wasn't around, I learned from other members of the family. Also, there was no financial legacy, no house left for me or anything like that. But what I really appreciate is the fact that I had knowledge in terms of sacrificing, learning how to sacrifice, learning how to be grateful for the little that I had. And so, you know, even growing up now, that is what I tell my daughter. So not because, even with the simple snack, not because you see 10 snacks is one snack per day.
Right.
You know, using simple little things to let her understand that, you know, we are on a budget and we need to be disciplined. I think that is a big word, and that is what we're lacking now in society, discipline. So as it relates to that, even though mom and dad wasn't around, I still, maybe if they were around, who to tell, I wouldn't be this independent. So we still have to be grateful regardless.
True.
For me, I mean, while I was at the bank, you know, working as a teller, you know, climbing up the ranks to a supervisor, you know, I said to myself, my original ambition, if you look in my yearbook, was to become the bank manager. While I was there, I realized that, you know, working at NCB, I saw that basically Leachin owned the bank. So I asked myself the question, if Leachin can own a bank, you know, why is my ambition just set on being the manager for the bank? Leachin can own a bank, that means I can own a bank too, you understand? And with that mindset, that really, you know, kind of positioned me on a part of, you know, trying to figure out how can I get to a stage where I can actually not just want to be a manager at a bank, but want to own the bank. So my ambition changed from wanting to be a bank manager to wanting to own the bank, and that led me to, you know, starting my first, you know, financial institution, which basically, you know, we started lending. And that grew into what we have now, Dollar Financial. And, you know, Dollar Financial now, we have 8 branches island-wide. You know, we're in Guyana as well. And we're looking to explore other territories in the Caribbean, as you know. So, I mean, if it wasn't for that mindset, you know, and that belief that, you know, anything is possible, then, you know, I'd still be working at the bank. Not that anything is wrong with having a 9-to-5. You know, because everybody have to define their own success. Right. You know, success for me is setting a goal and achieving that goal. Right. So if a man's goal is to become a bank manager and he ends up being the bank manager, then he is successful. Right. Doesn't mean that because he not own the bank, he's not successful. So that's also important when we talk about, you know, success and freedom, financial freedom and legacy. Because you don't have to own a business to be successful. You don't have to own a business to be wealthy. I've always said to people that want to leave their 9-to-5 because they think that being a business owner will give them financial freedom. I always point out that, you know, look around you. Look on, if they're in the financial space, if they look on Wall Street, they're some of the richest managers, fund managers in the world. You know, they don't own the fund, but they work there. Right. If you look at local banks, top managers at top banks, they are wealthy. Look at like a Patrick Hilton, who's like the managing director. He doesn't own the bank per se, but his goals of being successful can create generational wealth. So I mean, it's all about positioning yourself in whatever industry or field you are in, and not feel like you have to start a business to have financial freedom.
So in all honesty, I mean, some people don't look at us, they kind of overlook the fact that a school is a business. Like, schools need to make money, and it is an entrepreneurial venture at the end of the day to start a school, and you're shaping a whole generation. But what I wanted to touch on, what I heard about your school, is that you actually have a business club, even though it is very young kids. Tell me a little bit about that. Like, I'm trying to understand, because that would have probably changed my whole life if I learned about certain things earlier.
Well, I'm not a traditional teacher, and so, you know, we work with a curriculum, and what I realized is the government curriculum, it doesn't really plan to assist children in terms of business
and entrepreneurship.
Right. So, you know, on careers day, you know, for my school, it's not the regular lawyer, doctor. You'll see my kids dressing up in, you know, the suit, business owner. You'll see dance, even barber, hairdresser.
Nice,
so, you know, the business club was created to basically, these kids are very talented, and I noticed that from teaching. So basically, to develop or monetize what the child is good at. And so, you know, we started with 8 children. Some of them made slime. They turned their slime things into business.
Okay.
Bracelets. And you know, they basically learned how to manage a business, learn about profit margin, learn about, you know, marketing their business and all of that. So I believe from a young age, they can know, okay, this is something that I will get into in the future. And they learn how to just be responsible for their own things. Well, we start children from 3, but the business club started from 5.
Okay.
Age 5.
That's good.
Right, and right now we have 2 successful businesses. Girls and Doll World. They do mask necklace, and right now Fimi buttons that do funeral buttons.
Really?
Yeah, and even for the school we supported them when we needed monitor pins and all of that. So, you know, let me know. I know this is not an advertisement,
that's
you know.
fine, because, I mean,
I'll promote for them too.
I can definitely, because they need that support. Because
Right.
when you're doing these things so young, the feedback that you get about is so important. As to whether you're going to, and you want that support from your parents and people around you. You always want that support, whether no matter
That
what age you are.
motivation.
Like,
Right.
if you're 5 or if you're 50, you want that support and for people to come back behind you. And
That's true.
I've always looked at, like, you know, when you have like the TV shows where kids have like lemonade stands in the US and them kind of thing, they always say, "Yo, what's our version of that?" Like,
Right.
they are learning
Right.
about money and saving and all of that. What would we do if we were given such an opportunity? Because we're not going out there and buying lemonade. That's just not happening.
Right.
But what is our version of that? And that's showing that at a very young age, where you can make a necklace or bracelets or buttons and those kind of things. That is game changing to those children, because they'll realize that they don't have to be necessarily fall into the doctor, lawyer, bank manager category.
Do something that they love doing.
Myriad of other things that you can go out there and make money from and be happy. It's just that you determine what your success is.
And another thing too, so let's say they want to be the doctor and the lawyer, but they have the bracelets or whatever on the side.
Like,
Corona has started that one income is that no income.
Exactly. And that, so, like Mira was saying earlier, like the other stream of income thing, like that's really what drives me these days. That whole multiple streams of income.
Definitely.
Especially these days when there's a whole global pandemic, times are hard, and you say to yourself, okay, the money that I was able to make from over here tided me over for this. And people look at streams of income as you have to be making a bag of money from these other streams of income. No, that's your income need to just cover this bill.
Exactly.
You have one thing where the stream of income is guaranteed to cover. Is your light bill, is your car loan, whatever. You don't have to be making millions of dollars from your other stream of income. And I can make sure I tell you that, because making money is not linear like that. You're not gonna start out making $1 million, and it may not even go for as long as you live. But what I can tell you is that if it can cover this, or probably reinvest in something else, because taking money out of one pocket and putting it in another is, I think, how the wealthy people have become even more wealthy. You say, you look at something that you need and you say, you know what? All right, I'm gonna fill that gap. Like, I can say, and he was saying it earlier, when you're investing in another company, look at what it is that you buy on a daily basis. You have an Apple phone, okay? Buy some Apple stock. You go to the barber every week, probably you should look at starting a barber shop or something like that, because you realize that there are people here. This is a service that is needed. So I don't want that to be ever be something that is ever understated.
I just want to tell you that I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
I've never really publicly stated it, but I'm very, very proud of you.
Thank you.
And
I appreciate it.
You know, just keep on inspiring. Keep on inspiring.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
How is it that you view shared finances based on that? Like, if you have to go in and partner with somebody in something, or you're in a relationship where there is a certain amount of shared finances, do you think that affects how you look at sharing finances based on having to get money and budget it out basically for you alone all at once?
When you say sharing finances between?
Yeah, sharing finances between you and another person, and then you and let's just say somebody in a relationship, or you and somebody in a partner. Because I find that in this generation, we don't really, there's two completely different ends of the spectrum. You have some man would say, "Yo, boy, I need you with everything, you know." And then you have some people that take another stance and be like, oh, if we are do this together, then we should be doing it together, and some things is yours, some things is mine.
I mean, for me, and relationships, I mean, I'm very traditional in that sense where, you know, I believe that a man should carry the weight of the household. And on the other side, I also believe in if a woman doesn't, you know, have that stream of income, that a man should help to create a stream of income for that woman. You know, so based on my knowledge in terms of starting a lot of companies, I mean, how I am is that I'll find out what it is that this woman really like. Is she passionate about flowers? Can we open up a flower shop for her? Okay. You know, how can we create some income for her that will actually give her her own independence at the same time? So that is kind of like my belief when it comes to relationship, because at the end of the day, a woman has to feel independent, even in a financial sense. And even though, you know, I would still manage the household, you know, it's nice to know that a woman has her own income so that she can, if she wants to buy a gift independently, she don't have to come to Stefan and say, Stefan, I need some money to go and buy you a gift, you know?
Yeah, I always thought that concept was a little off. It's like a gift in myself then. Into it, so.
Stefan, it can go vice versa too. I agree. In the sense where the woman can also help the man in terms of the stream. So I'm not necessarily the traditional type where I am of the opinion that a man is supposed to carry the weight. Maybe because of how I was brought up to be independent. But my stance on it is that, you know, two independent people, we share the bills, we share the chores, which is another topic, but that's just my take on it. So just as though you can help her to create that income in terms of find out what you like, women can do the same thing too.
I mean, fortunately for me, I've always been in a relationship or a position where the woman could carry some weight and would also, you know, contribute, where we could share, you know, expenses and manage the expenses that we have, you know, of the household and any other expense, whether it might be traveling expenses. So I've been fortunate, you know, to date women that, but
it's not just fortunate, I'm sure you picked a woman based on
But is it contributing though, or is it their responsibility too? Why isn't it our responsibility?
To do what exactly?
No, he's saying the woman can contribute, whether or not she likes, right? So for me though, as I said, I don't know, it's gonna be hard to get this mindset from me, but I believe, you know, it's my bills too. It's not necessarily okay, then I'll assist. It's our bills, so that's just my thinking.
Tony live in a house, Tony using light and water and all sorts of things. So,
right.
I mean, some people look at it that way. Like I said, and I know that at some point in time I must have had bearing on who you pick as a partner, because you want you can be attracted to somebody physically and then attracted to their mindset as a completely different
That's
thing.
true. That is true.
You can meet somebody and them look good enough, and then their mindset is just completely different from yours. It just simply just war. So that is not by chance, I'm sure, man. The women that we've been in relationships with can always carry some
like minds.
Like-minded people. Get along with it.
I guess you attract like-minded people.
Exactly.
If you're not going off looks alone, then you're going to go off personality and people that you're compatible with.
As our closing point, Mary, if you had to teach big man over there anything early, what would it be?
Well, I mean, my son is here with me now. If I could teach him anything, I mean, you know, I'm not the parent who is going to, you know, direct him in terms of what he should become or what his ambition should be. And at the end of the day, what is important for him is the discipline of, you know, managing his expenses, creating new income streams, you know. As much as I will build for his generation and try to build for the generation after him, I want him to have that mindset that, hey, you're not just living for yourself, you're living for the generation after you as well, you know, and we're creating a legacy, you know, so that, you know, further down the road, life gets easier for our bloodline, you know, and not harder. So in terms of maintaining legacy, you know, respecting that, you know, my father and my grandfather worked hard, you know, to create this, you know, access I should protect it for, you know, generations to come. So for me, it's just to instill that principle in him, you know. And once that is cemented in his head, I think that, you know, I would have been a successful father.
Agreed.
I agree. I mean, when it comes down to discipline, I'm very big on that. So, you know, I'll tell my daughter, you set goals, you need to stay on track. So it doesn't matter, you see, you know, something over here, you may want it. You know, after you have accomplished your goal, you can go ahead and, you know, deviate from the plan. But definitely, discipline.
Cool.
All right, I like the fact that you mentioned about the shares, stock market and everything. And I hear you mention also of taking chance as it regards to loan and stuff like that. But apart from that, because you know most of the time we might take loans and it's just come like, you know, we become debtors to loan. We become a slave then. And even though you try to get out of that era that you're in, because you just keep paying back and then borrowing back. What do you suggest? Or what can you suggest rather about that era, or we can get out of that era?
Out of that era.
Right.
Well, that's a tough question. It's almost like, you know, when people ask, you know, how can you escape from poverty, you know?
That's the question.
Yeah, you know, I'm in an industry called microfinancing, and the whole invention of the industry was to help people to get out of poverty through lending.
Through lending.
Through lending.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, access to credit, you know, is the backbone to everything. Even the government borrow to give us roads.
That's true.
The government borrow to help to, you know, put infrastructure in place, to fund education, things like that. So nothing is wrong with borrowing, but you cannot borrow to consume. You cannot borrow to buy things that you are going to consume. You have to borrow to invest.
To invest, right.
So the fact is, if you borrow to buy a taxi and you plan it properly, the taxi should be paying the loan, not you, right? So it takes proper planning. And I think where a lot of people go wrong is the taxi start make money and they start to consume the money. Then start use the taxi money, go sport. Then start use the taxi money and, you know, go out to eat. And what you find now is that they have to go in their pocket to pay the loan. And then they end up in a cycle where now they're indebted. The car can't pay for itself. And now you're digging into your income that you had before to pay a loan. And now the car meets in a car accident. You don't have enough money saved up to fix it or to buy 4 tires. Now the taxi is off the road. Let's say you have a car paying for that has no income and now you're in debt. So what comes with all of this is discipline.
Thank you.
Discipline is key, you know, in terms of if you want to really escape being in debt or escape, you know, that poverty line, it's going to come with discipline and a lot of discipline. Discipline is not easy. You know? So
solid answer.
Yeah, man.
Solid answer, because this is a phenomenal thing that is going on over the years, and then people become so in debt, wherein they can't come out, and sometimes by the time you know it, they take a small loan, a big loan, then they take a major loan, they can't manage, and it seems like it's a whole mountain.
Losing debt is like losing weight. If you don't get up and go to the gym every day, you're not going to lose. So that's discipline again.
That's discipline.
So boil right back down to discipline. You know? And for anybody who, you know, wants to become, you have to define what you want for yourself. Set that goal and then go for the goal. And then once you achieve your goal, you're successful. You know?
So that means whenever we take out a loan, as you mentioned, it must be for something proactive that can.
Correct.
So it can cover up but the loan payment. And plus you're supposed to receive an interest from it.
You understand? But bear in mind, everything is still a risk.
It's still a risk.
It must not work. It cannot work out. You can borrow to buy a place, to rent it out, and you might find that you know, for 6 months straight, nobody is in, it's not tenanted. You know, and you have to dig in your pocket and you take on that risk. But with the risk come reward. So what do? You choose to stay here, you take a risk to get to another level. So that's another choice.
That's another choice.
To me.
All right, that's my tip on it. Thanks much.